Hi everyone, I'm glad to see you. And at the beginning, I suggest scan QR code, and I launched a small quiz. Could you please scan and choose your answer a question? Do you collect metrics in your QAA team or department? Just a couple minutes. Just 3 answers: yes, no, or why. Yeah, those. Well, thank you for answers. Looks like that most of this looks like in context of my topic, which I talk about. So I suggest to go on and just wait a moment. Well, hi everyone again. Thank you for joining and coming to our meetup. And thanks, Ivan. Where is Ivan? For sentimental talk. Upon time we were young when we started our way in automation. And thanks our company for providing opportunities. Well, now I talk about metrics and how they help us to reach our goals. Hope it will be interesting and useful for us. And probably will take something as a good idea or ideas for implementing and improving in your process, in your project. And I suggest to start. A couple words about me. I'm Alex. I work as QA manager at Wrike. I joined the team as a QA automation engineer at 2010. I was the first in this position, in this role, and during these years we built amazing team of software developers in tests, and together we built a significant automation tool, test system, which let us to control quality of our lovely Wrike and allow us to deploy code to production faster and without bugs. And so what about QA automation? So in general, I would say that numbers will tell us more clear. And right now, QA automation team is 16 software developers in tests. I corrected because Ivan was So it was the difference between QA automation and software developers and test. Also more over 50 plus contributors in test framework from Polar and Zim. You might be asked who is 50 plus contributors. I would answer that we have a full stack approach in our company. It was started in 2016 when we launched the first QA automation school in Wrike, and we provided for our colleagues capability to learn automation, and we got significant results due to alumni's alumnus will get a super effect. I mean, in terms of they can support and maintain their product teams in terms of automation scopes. And in the future, we are able to partly and support this approach. We wrap it as a full stack approach, and right now we got around 50 plus contributors. Also, it's 2.5 plus million code lines of code in end-to-end project. Also, approximately around 130 to 180 test runs in daily basis. And it looks like a huge capacity for whole QA team, and it required the same level of responsibility, especially in terms of management of all of that. And for us, if it cannot be measured, it cannot be improved. I would add it cannot be managed. Accurately describes the main idea of this talk. And about metrics that we use in our QA team that allow us to assess the quality of our work, the quality of our test, the quality of our product, and also ability to target finally, precisely make improvements in test framework and in test infrastructure. And yes, I would say that we are supporting an evolutionary approach rather than a revolutionary one. I mean that from one hand, it's to break and destroy everything, and after it's to build new, taking into account your previous and current mistakes and challenges. Yeah, it's also a way, and it might be work somewhere, but I'm afraid that it's not work for us because in our case it takes I don't know, maybe years. And evolutionary is more closer for us, and we are improving our job. I mean, tell me persistently and without any rush. And a few years ago, I came across an interesting article about the approach taken in English cyclist professional cyclist team, Team Sky, actually by general manager Dave Brailsford, whose main commitment when he joined the team in 2010 was win the Tour de France, since no British cyclist has yet won this famous race. And by the way, in world of professional cycling, it belonged at the same level as Olympic Games. And David's approach was extremely simple, since he was a supporter of concept of accumulation of minimal improvements. It means that improving each metric at least 1%, in total improvements will gain a super effect. And the management team inspected almost each aspect and detail of cyclist life, from reviewing and improving the diet, training plan, bicycle ergonomics, proper riding position, detail such special selected sleeping pillows on which athletes slept, and find the best message gel for faster recovery athletes, and whatever. providing riders effective ways to wash hands to avoid infections. And well, so the team made a total audit, everything that they could be checked, and they can be improved at least 1%. And was delivered that the strategy worked and the team would win Tour de France, I mean, after 5 years. And guys, questions to us. What do you think? How many years did they need to win Tour de France? Any suggestions? 5. Another? What else? What else? 2. Okay. What else? 8. Okay, well, the right answer is 3. So, and coach was wrong. Team Sky achieved the goal after 3 years. And a year later, they succeed again. And in 2012, the multi-cycles team, led by Dave, won 8 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze medals at the Olympic Games. Well, what I'm talking about in terms of cyclist team approach. So actually, I'm talking about improving metrics. I mean, at least 1%, 2%, or somehow, and you will gain super effect, or I mean significant effect if you can improve something. And over the years, we grow from a small startup company to a large global product company with around 1,000 employees worldwide. And as a client base grow, the responsibility of the quality of our product, of our tests, quality increased. The number of autotests grew too, and the growth was so rapid, and without proper management of tests and its quality, I think that disaster could be happening. And we decided to consequently think about how to control the process, how to predict potential problems of rapidly growing test code base, to define current problems and bottlenecks in the test framework, test infrastructure, test development processes. And I mentioned that consequently, what does it mean? Before, we had already collected metrics, but it was in a hurry, in rush, and without no clear structured process, with such questions, why we are doing it, what problem are we solving, what is the value of this work, and by what metric can we assess the impact of our improvements. And well, I will talk about 3 stories from our experience, which allow us to argue that without the right metrics, it's extremely difficult to evaluate and manage changes in any improvements within current process. As I mentioned, the keyword is well-chosen metrics. Since you will agree that collecting any metrics just to have and build or developing some kind of improvements regarding the statistics is not probably the most successful and effective approach. And in addition, it's too important to understand how metrics fits a particular process or product. I would say that we have formulated 2 principles for defining the approach of building metrics. The first is that the collecting statistic is based on the existing challenge that we want to solve, to fix by implementing some kind of improvement for this process. I mean, for example, we had a problem with speed of test development, and under the hood, it was a long duration for code review. And in other words, it's a clearly formulated problem, and there is approximately understanding what kind of metric can help us to assess the value of our work done. And the second is definition of reference metrics and how they will behave during the process of technical experiments, or in other words, if we increase, for example, the number of tries or reruns of early tests within the one built by a certain value, I mean, how does it affect the total build runtime and its success rate? And in the future, we have to find the optimal proportion of tries due to limitation to build runtime. And now I'll provide my stories. Story number one, it's about code review challenge. And actually know that the process of developing tests is a rather sophisticated process, consists of several stages, such as design test case, design test, development test, and code review. The process of developing tests looks like is one of the sub-processes of developing our product or in particular feature. And it's too important for business to be able to, let's say, fast deploy feature to production, ideally without bugs. And so at one of the quarterly planning, during the process of collecting feedback, several product teams paid our attention that we had a long test development process. And in other words, very often feature deployed to production without autotests. We began to figure out what the problem was, and review the process. I mean, for recently deployed feature, we considered the duration of each test development stage. Potentially, we felt, that the challenge was in code review. Actually, know that there is looks like a human factor, because I mean, when you develop tests anyway, it looks like just all everything depends only for you. And when you did or do review code, there is two actors, two persons, so author and reviewer. And well, in general, we asked responsible automation developer, why did you review code for a long time? And he answered that he got tired and slept. And we repeated our question, and then he told us that he played kicker because he got tired. Yes, Jack, actually, he was busy and made another urgent task and another routine. And we collect statistics for the code review. We called it the merge request lifetime, or in short, MR lifetime. So actually, it's time between developer sent completed code for code review and merge the code review with code to master. And we supposed that decreasing merge request lifetime allowed us to reduce code review and in general speed up test development. And then the next question was how to evaluate this metric. I mean, what kind value is good for us, and what is bad. In other words, how many hours can we spend for review code and significantly speed up the test development. So based on the fact that product teams had 2 weekly sprints and taking into account the capacity of QA automation engineer, abstract engineer, we try to commit in 48 hours. Up to 48 hours for each merge request. And maybe you ask why 48? So actually, it looked like to split current time of review into times, and time for review the code should be exceed 48 hours. At 18th percentile, it means that 18th percentile of all merge requests for a certain time period fit into 48 hours. Okay, makes sense. little bit. Okay. Statistics collected on a monthly basis for the past quarter show us that lifetime of merge requests greatly exceed our commitment. And we began to think further how to speed up the review process. The collection of review feedback highlighted that some automatic tool with auto-assign and remind reviewers to review code was required, and potentially helped guys to do this task faster. And a tool called GGit was born in our team, which allowed us to automatically appoint an assigner and remind him about the review. And well, we made the first version, or first iteration of GGit in a few weeks, and immediately implemented it into our test development process. And already in the next quarter, our statistic of merge request lifetime fell down. After two quarters, we reached our goals in 48 hours. And collecting feedback from product teams confirmed that the review tool is working properly, and the speed of the test development grow up. And we saw the same in our metrics, and the adoption of GGit let us to keep up good velocity of development. And thus, using this metric, we can manage the speed of test development. And in case of some abnormal deviation, we can analyze reasons for such deviations scrupulously. And for example, we detected that in some months, the 18th percentile of our metric exceed our commitment for 48 hours. And we investigated this case, and so actually this exceeding, which obviously affected our final statistic, and our investigation led us that many guys actually were on their vacation, and everyone like in summer on their vacation. And GGit did not handle such case, and we added fixes in GGit, and merge request lifetime returned to our admissible values. So as a result of our improvement, looks like, based on merge request lifetime, was capability to decrease merge request lifetime, and just imagine it was 100 plus hours, and after we got almost 3 times decrease, and our test development became three times faster. It was significant, and I want to say big thanks to our team. And actually, if you're interested, you can scan QR code and take a look how this tool works with more details under its hood. Well, story number 2. Story about merger of test modules. So we are permanently focusing on test speed up in our plans, and constantly think about what else opportunities and what else technologies for infrastructure, for our test framework, which allow us to run test builds faster. I would say that all significant inventions happened accidentally during the process of research and observation, experiments. But I have to say that under the hood of this accidentally, there is always a long work, long way of challenges, failures, mistakes. And I think that if you're confident and persistent in your job, from my perspective anyway, you will reach the right decision, you reach your goal. And often it places under your nose, maybe under your eyes. And a similar story happened with our test modular merger. Now, test framework, there are about 55,000 of tests, which placed in more than 100 modules. And very often, product teams don't need to run all this 55,000 of tests for checking their scopes. And due to Wrike test markup, which allow teams to create their own bugs and builds, and it's important that they can save their time for another task. And in most cases, these suits are placed in different modules. Take a look at the slide. There is a simple example of our challenge. Managing the number of threads for running tests in parallel and retrying the failure test after initial run. And the huge amount of modules increased the runtime of the whole build or test pack up to 50%. And next, for multi-modulus builds, we try to implement a mechanism for combining tests from different modules into one. And in such way, we avoid the challenge on the problem of irrational or improperly used concurrency for initial run, for initial tests which run, and restarting failure tests. And to assess the value of this implemented mechanism, we use the runtime metric of multi-modulus builds. In particular, the test build of components test, which runs for around 11,000 tests from 140 modules becomes faster in 2 times. And take a look at the slide. It's a result of implementing our improvements. Do you feel difference? And to be honest, this holy fence, the left side, was a big pain for our team in terms of wasting idle runtime of test build. And how else did we check our improvement? So take a look again at the chart, and so we turned off our tool on 9th of September, and you can see here a big jump to the initial values. So in general, the model merger allows us to save up to 30% of total time for test runs. And also we got 25 reducing cost for test infrastructure as a bonus. Well, story number 3. Along with the challenge of optimization test runs, we solving the problem of test stability. And we working with this problem from quarter to quarter. And will you agree that the false positives in after testing, especially in UI tests, it's a really big pain for everyone, and who use them. And in our case, one of the effective ways to fix unstable test issues is the test retries mechanism. From my opinion, unfortunately, it's always a fight between success rate and build runtime. And I mean that if you want to get more green tests, you have to spend more time for running builds, actually. And it looks like a thing that you can't affect somehow. Well, what's the retry mechanism under the hood? It looks like restarting failed tests within the build run, and which can significantly increase in success rate metric. So when we planned test for the 3rd quarter of 2022, we decided to let an experiment in context of this hypothesis on what value we can increase the number of retries, which is not increase the test build runtime no more than 20% from one hand, and what the optimal ratio of the number of retries which brings acceptable build runtime. And well, historically, the default value of retry count in all our builds was 3, and on the chart you can see that an increase the rerun count from 3 to 5 increases the success rate by 4%. Increase from 3 to 6 was 6.4, and runtime is up for 23%. And from 3 to 10 was 10.7%, and the build runtime is significantly increased at 30, actually I calculated it's around 36%. It should be taken into account that this data was collected from test runs on feature branches. Actually, that are under development, and there are quite a lot of, external factors such as which affected the success rate, such as bugs of features, somehow infrastructure issues, etc. And however, the experiment allows us to consistently increase the default retry count for all builds up to 5. Also, we collect the success rate metric for one of our longest build. It's a regression pack. Take a look at the chart. Actually, we got somehow stabilization of this metric from third quarter of 2022, and we increased it where we increased our retry count to 5. And well, in general, we have many metrics which are specified for our project. And now I provide just 3 of them, and probably they are more easy to understand without deeply diving into context of our work, of our process. And it looks like to be, let's say, more familiar with our approach during the test development. And so, well, as a result, we got plus 4% success rate, and didn't exceed the test runtime to 10%. And maybe someone tell me it's just 4%, but actually, as I mentioned about our approach, that was the same as for bikers and British cyclist team. We believe in that approach, and demonstrated that it works for us as well. And so what I'm talking about, I repeat it again. Today I introduce you with our metrics approach. And from my perspective, I can't imagine my work and the work our team, without metrics. And from my opinion, the best compression is try to feel the difference between the flight with modern cockpit, with many sensors, detectors, etc., and by compass, by some sunlight watches, maybe paper maps, rollers, etc. And yes, it looks like the answer is obvious. And well, you can scan QR codes to read more about us, about our company. Here is another more things: YouTube, Medium, etc. And well, I want to say thanks, big thanks everyone for joining us, for joining me and Ivan, and listening. And so, thank you.